anything that Uranus is involved with is comes left field. It is what we do not expect. It's so not what we thought. I mean, whatever you think may happen probably won't. Like at the moment, you may think, okay, Biden may be ill, Kamala Harris may have to step in. That is what would be expected.
Yeah.
So anything that's expected is most likely not going to happen. So Uranus is foresight, whereas Jupiter is insight. And when you have those planets together, it's very powerful. I think Uranus often rolls back the clock and uses something so it triggers, like, for example, it'll trigger something that's never been triggered before, and it will be for the sake of the future. It will not be out of grievance. It will not be out of spite or anything like that. Taurus is very measured. It doesn't budge. It really doesn't budge. But Jupiter-Uranus will stir things up. So it's probable that I think there'll be a new election process. And there could be more tickets on the ballot.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I am so happy that you've decided to join us for this very special episode today. We are going to be taking a sneak peek into the astrology of 2024. And we have today with us she's an author, an astrologer. She is the principal of the International Mayo School of Astrology and the chair of the Astrological Association. And she just so happens to also be the next Inner Circle astrologer teacher for our community. And her name is Wendy Stacey. Before we dive in, I just want to make sure that you know you are invited to our most popular yearly event. It is our much anticipated free 8th annual Year Ahead Forecast panel. We're doing this event a full 2 months earlier than we usually do it because we wanted to make sure and give you enough time to prepare for the big year that 2024 promises to be. So on October 12th, we're going to be gathering with an incredible group of astrologers to get the lay of the land for 2024. We're having Christopher Renstrom, Rachel Lang, Mark Borax, Sheridan Semple, and Clarissa Dolphin. They are going to be discussing the big themes of 2024, the most important transits and why. You'll get strategies for navigating the tides ahead so you can make the most of next year. And the best part of the panel event is the discussion between the astrologers. We kind of never know what's going to come up during those times. It's always highly entertaining and very informative. So hopefully you'll join us for that event. Go to astrologyhub.com/2024 to reserve your free spot now. We're also going to put that link in the show notes. And even if you can't join us live during the time of the event, make sure you register. We're going to send out a limited time recording of the event. So register. We'll know to send you the recording when you do that. Inner Circle members, you do not need to register. We're going to send you the links and you get lifetime access to the recordings. So don't worry about it. If you're an Inner Circle member, you're in and we'd love to see you there. So everybody else, go ahead and open another browser tab on your computer or your phone. Reserve your free spot by going to astrologyhub.com/2024 forecast. All right, can't wait to see you at that. A little bit more about Wendy. She has written numerous articles for the Astrological Journal. She's the author of Consulting with Astrology and Uranus Square Pluto. In 2014, Wendy received the UK Charles Harvey Award for exceptional service to astrology. She's also a tutor on the MA Cultural Astronomy and Astrology course at the University of Wales. And then as an Inner Circle teacher next month, she is going to be teaching a mastery class on synastry and compatibility. Wendy, welcome to the Astrology Hub podcast. I'm so happy that you're here.
I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's talk about 2024. What is the astrological transit or event of 2024 that you are the most excited about and like have your eye on, and why?
Well, the one I'm most excited that's going to come forward is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and that will be on the 21st of April next year, 2024. and that will be at almost 22 degrees of Taurus. So I'm really excited. Jupiter, Uranus, they're both fascinating planet. Jupiter is the planet of the adventurer, and Uranus is the planet of the rebellion. And together they sort of and the discoverer as well. And together they're quite I call them the provokers. They're both very brave. And when they come together, there's a lot of very high energy stuff going on. Now, the difference between this particular conjunction, because they conjoin every 12 to 13 years, but it takes a long time for them to come back and conjoin in the same sign. So they haven't done that since, I think, 1941, which I can talk about if you wish. And so Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, they when they come together, they are adventurous. They're about lots of different things. Excuse me. And they're very courageous. And in this particular conjunction, they're going to be in the sign of Taurus. So it slows it down a lot more. It really sort of lessens the pace, and it anchors them somewhat. So it stirs it up. It's like, stirring up the mud. It's like a bit of a drill going into the soil, if you like. So it really is quite stirring. In the sign of Taurus, we're going to find lots of interesting discoveries of things of our Earth, of our land. I mean, one could actually say archaeological sort of discoveries. But Taurus is also about many other things too. It's about finance. It's about money. It's also about the body. So, when you think of Uranus ruling things like the future and technology, and Jupiter being the planet of expansion, then you can see that, there's going to be lots of interesting developments of the body, which are going to come back to us as the people. Taurus is a sign of senses. It's the most sensuous sign. So when Jupiter Uranus come into Taurus, and then when they conjoin in Taurus, it's going to be very much about discovering a lot about our senses. So it's a great time to really get in touch with the senses. And I mean, sight, hearing, touch, feel, things like that. So it's a really interesting period to do with the body. Of course, there's always going to be that AI thing too, and there's going to be interesting developments in health and the well-being side of things. So there's a lot of really sort of not just pioneering, but sort of unprecedented things that are going to come up, because it's a different world now than 1941. So we have, different technologies in that. So our body is going to be a really interesting, focus for us.
Wendy, I remember at the 2023 forecast when we were talking about Pluto going into Aquarius. Was that 2023 or 2022?
Yes, no, that was, yeah, because it started in March this year. Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. And I remember you, of all the astrologers, you were excited about this.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
were you were very optimistic. You brought in an energy of like, let's explore it. Let's be open to it. Let's not be afraid of it. Like this could bring some incredible innovations. And your voice has rung in my head many times throughout the year, especially when Pluto was in Aquarius. And I finally had that moment of, oh, wait, I kind of get what this AI thing's about. And I kind of can see for the first time how it's absolutely going to revolutionize the way we
yeah,
do, like almost everything. And so instead of kind of tensing up about that, which is what I would do before, I listened to what you said and I remained curious and open. And while I still have my like, I'm not so sure how I feel about this, or I'm not so sure how I feel about some of it, I definitely have that. But at the same time, there is an openness and curiosity of like, well, maybe it could bring some really cool things. And I was just listening to a podcast that was talking about mind blowing things when it comes to the body and
mm,
innovation and technology and life being extend. They said basically
Yeah.
even under the age of 50 can expect to sort of intersect the technological innovations and can expect like a 120 or 130 year lifespan now. And
Right.
I was like, what? Seriously? But this is kind of the stuff you're talking about, right?
It is all of that. It is, and there is a lot of interesting stuff going on in the media at the moment about extending life and how much it costs and transferring bloods from one generation to another and things like that. Yeah. But it's even really simple everyday life things. And I am excited about things because when things happen astrologically, they happen on every level. They happen on every level. They happen on the really most challenging, and or some would say negative, but I prefer challenging. And they happen on the most fantastic level and everything in between. There's this sort of, there are some things that get steered in some ways or another, but you will always get everything that happens. And I sort of think of like Jupiter and Uranus. Like Jupiter's the discoverer, and Uranus is the inventor. So when you've got these planets together, they're going to really revolutionize things. Amanda, that is the perfect word. They are both revolutionary. And when you think of the body, I mean, I just think of like also really simple things, like when you think about going to the gym every day. Go to the gym and whatever you do, however minutes of cardio, then you do so many minutes of weights. You use the cycling machine, the stepping machine, the rowing machine, or whatever you use. Now, I just think this is the very moment where things like exercise machines that know what your body needs and does it tells you exactly, what to do, how to do it. It's that sort of, technologies that are life changing. They're really simple, they're really basic, and it may not be that, but it's that sort of theme. It's that sort of thing that we can sort of expect on many different levels. And I mean, I'm just saying the body because so many people go to the gym and so many people work out, but that's relatively new to humankind. It's not something that people did 150 years ago, and so I'm fascinated by how things may change or progress or advance, with, what we do now and how that may look in 100 years' time, sort of thing. And I think the body is, yeah, it's a fascinating.
Yeah. Wendy, I've had like this vision of myself as an elderly woman speaking to like my grandchildren, being like, we used to have to go to the gym and like work out for hours
Yeah,
and what to make me see a little bit of muscle. And like for some reason, there's going to be some innovations that make what we do today seem archaic to actually. And this is totally just a fantastical like
yeah,
that I've had of like,
but it's probably real. And
thrilled to like to see changes in our body, and maybe there will be ways that can be accelerated.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with Jupiter-Uranus too, is they're both accelerators. They're both. Taurus is a de-accelerator. And so that is a contradiction between them. So that's why I sort of see it as like, delving into the earth sort of thing. So it's but it anchors it too. It makes it less scattered, And I sort of think in order to gauge whether one likes the energy of Jupiter-Uranus, I sort of have this thing. Jupiter rules thunder and light, and Uranus rules lightning. And like for me, I'm very Jupiterian and Uranian. So when a storm comes and there's thunder and lightning, I love it. I am just, yeah. And so, yeah. And if you're a Jupiterian or Uranian person, that's how you can tell. How do you respond to massive thunder and lightning? I mean, I scream for joy. I love it. Yeah.
It's so thrilling. Yeah.
But some people don't.
Right.
Some people hide. They get fearful. You look at animals. I mean, I have animals, and so it's not pleasant for everyone. But the people that don't like thunder and lightning, and there's quite a few people. It sort of describes how they may respond to that Jupiter-Uranus, sort of the characteristics that it brings forth. So it's interesting to watch that, but I mean, it's very exciting. It's going to throw us because they are discovering they are very discovery like planets. And they're very rebellious. Jupiter and Uranus are the two planets, well, along with Mars perhaps, who don't like being told what to do. Jupiter and Uranus are rebellious. So you are going to get rebellion. I mean, in 2010, the last Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which happened in Aries and Pisces, Aries, Pisces, Pisces, it was 3 conjunctions. You had the Arab Spring start, which was one of the biggest political rebellions, in the Northern Hemisphere. So there is a lot of that, and things get overturned. Jupiter and Uranus want to get rid of the old. Taurus likes things the way they are. Taurus does not like change whatsoever. But the Uranus Jupiter, it stirs things up. So change happens, but it's slow. It's a bit slow. And one of the things I've been looking at in the last week is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. It happens at nearly 22 degrees of Taurus. Now, that's a very interesting degree. It's the same degree that the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction happened in 2000. And if you remember in America in 2000, it was May 2000. It was just before the elections. And there was a massive change in elections. There was a lot of things going on about the election process. And that sort of thing. There was also a lot other things I'll discuss too, like the dot-com crisis, foot and mouth, mad cow's disease, completely Taurian. But so it is financial, which I will come to. But the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction at 22 Taurus in the year 2000 had a lot to do with the elections in the US. And what I found this week was the chart for when George Washington, the first president of the United States, he was sworn in on the 30th of April, 1789 at 12:45 p.m. And that just afternoon. So that chart is a really interesting one when analyzing the presidency. Now, the presidency is not just about who, what, it's actually about the entire sort of structure of the American politics, And so what's happened is this 22 degrees Jupiter-Uranus is going to happen at 22 Taurus next year. And you're going to see this build up from now until then, and you can feel it already. You've been feeling it for a long time. You've also had the Pluto return as well in the American charts as well. But so this chart is really fascinating when you're thinking about how may this be played out, because the political's personal, personal's political. So it's just going to bring a whole lot of stirring the pot, change, revolution, but slowly, because it's in Taurus. Slowly and measured.
So, Wendy, what does this mean? So you're basically saying it's activating, or the 20 degrees is the same degree that what was happening when George Washington was?
So when George Washington, sorry, yes, Amanda, that would be helpful. The chart of the 1789 chart, sorry, I didn't say the midheaven.
Okay, I was like, okay.
Yeah, sorry. The midheaven of that chart, of the presidency chart. Now, the midheaven, along with the sun, would also signify the presidency. And the midheaven degree of that presidency chart is 22 Taurus. So it's a sensitive and vulnerable degree. Well, it's not necessarily vulnerable. It can be positively activated. It's not a negative. It's when that's activated, it's like, right, here we go, and it's it was activated in 2000 in the May when Jupiter-Saturn conjoined at 22 Taurus in May. So it was activated. There was a lot of volatility around elections and all that sort of thing. And that's not necessarily the same flavor, because this is Jupiter-Uranus, not Jupiter-Saturn. So Jupiter-Uranus is a bit more rebellious. Has a bit more foresight. So it's actually about the future of the presidency. So it's about the future of elections. It's about the future of rulership and things like that. So it's going to, drill down into sort of every aspect of political life, and will have a far-reaching view around the world. So it's a fascinating era to watch, because it will be a moment in history. It really will be an interesting one to watch. A little bit like the 2001 was, with, all what was happening, even, and not even just the election, the Bush, the Gore thing, the recount in Florida, all these sort of things, which I
Yeah.
remember at the time. But this is because it's triggering the presidency degree on the presidency chart of
Wow.
that moment. Yeah,
Oh
it's
my God.
fascinating.
So
Yeah, it's yeah.
I've heard people say that maybe there won't even be a 2024 election, like something happens, there is no election.
Wow.
I've heard other astrologers predict that none of the candidates who seem like the likely candidates, I I think it was specifically that, God, now I might not even remember which astrologer, but that neither Biden nor Trump will be on the
That could
ballot.
very
Now,
that could very well happen.
so what if you had to put your astrological, magic hat on and sort of peer into the future, what would you, I mean, I get like upheaval, I get rebellion,
Yeah.
I get through the pot, but like anything specific that you can see?
Well, I think what happens, because Uranus is anything that Uranus is involved with is comes left field. It is what we do not expect. It's so not what we thought. But sometimes Uranus rolls back the clock. It rewinds. So what it may do, I don't know. I'm speaking off the top of my head. Whatever you think may happen probably won't. Like at the moment, you may think, okay, Biden may be ill, Kamala Harris may have to step in. That is what would be expected.
Yeah.
So anything that's expected is most likely not going to happen. What I think what happens with Uranus, even though it's forward looking, and it's, so Uranus is foresight, whereas Jupiter is insight. And when you have those planets together, it's very powerful. I think Uranus often rolls back the clock and uses something so it triggers, like, for example, it'll trigger something that's never been triggered before, which is pretty much what's happened in the last 48 hours for the House of Representatives. Um, but it'll be unprecedented, or, it's been something that's been rolled back, that some president did in 1820. So unprecedented in our time,
Whoa.
something like that. There's something, um, and it will be for the sake of the future. It will
Mm.
not be out of grievance. It will not be out of spite or anything like that. Um, so, and along with that, Pluto and Aquarius, that's the thing. Pluto and Aquarius goes in November next year. So there's still hope that, it may all kick in. It may calm down after that. Taurus is very measured. It doesn't budge. It really doesn't budge. But Jupiter-Uranus will stir things up. So it's probable that, I think there'll be a new election process. And there could be more tickets on the ballot. There's, like, right, uh, you know, at the moment, even in the UK and in the US, it's either red or blue.
Yeah.
It's and so
Two
so
options.
yeah, and Jupiter and Uranus sort of both of them think outside the box, you see. So
Mhm.
I think you'll get a bit of, something that tries to, they're both quite democratic, Jupiter and Uranus. So it'll have good intent, I'm sure, but there'll still be a lot of rebellion. And in
Wow.
Taurus, yeah, where this may hit is financials.
Mm.
I think, the banking, so wherever, whatever funds, whatever is it's just gonna all change. It's just gonna all
Wow.
shift.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wendy, I have more questions about this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So you're talking about there's a specific date, right? It was
Yes.
April 21st. We're gonna have this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. How long does this energy last though?
It's only one hit. So, I mean,
Wow.
it's only one conjunction, so that's okay. Um, so, it doesn't like in 2010 we had three and it went through Aries to Pisces to Pisces. And before that we had one hit in 1997. This is important too, I guess. And we had in 1997 we had the Jupiter Uranus conjunction in Aquarius. And that was really the pole vaulting into the technological revolution we live in. That was the start of social, start of the internet on internet browser being
Yes.
accessible, all this sort of stuff. So in Aquarius, it just spearheaded us into technology. In Taurus, it's going to completely, um, you know, it's going to completely look at revamping economic infrastructures, which is what the political one is pretty much based on anyway. So there's going to be a lot of shifts, but they're not scary shifts. But they are massive changes in how life will proceed after that, how we organize ourselves after that. We live in a very Taurian sort of very Taurian lifestyle. We are very much about the standard of living, whereas Jupiter and Uranus is going to say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. And that's a big shift for humankind to make, but that's what
Ooh.
it's gonna do with Pluto, ruling Pluto in Aquarius. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
everybody, I am going to ask Wendy some more questions about her, uh, what she's seeing for 2024, especially how some of these more collective shifts that we just talked about will affect us personally, and strategies for how to work with these things. So before we do that, though, I need to take a moment to thank our sponsor for this episode, Magic of Eye. So, here at Astrology Hub, we are huge fans of Magic of Eye journals, planners, and moon calendars. And we're so grateful for our continued partnership with Magic of Eye, where we get to pass along incredible discounts to our community here at Astrology Hub. And this is especially relevant since 2024 is right around the corner. So I've often received compliments on my note taking skills. And you may have noticed me here on the podcast taking pages of notes while I listen to our amazing astrologers like Wendy share their wisdom and their brilliance. What you may not know is I am very particular about the journals I take my notes in. I am a sucker for a beautiful, well designed journal that also speaks to the magic of the cosmos that we are exploring together here on this podcast. And my favorite by far is the Magic of Eye journal. I love the cover art, and I'm going to show you right now. This is one of my favorites here. And many of the team here at Astrology Hub also love the Magic of Eye planner. So the 2024 Astrological Planner is an incredibly powerful book of wisdom for creating magic and living in alignment with the cosmos. With this planner, you get comprehensive astrological reference guide, monthly astrological calendar and aspectarian, weekly planner with all aspects. So whether you are a moon lover or a planning freak, astro curious or professional, a witch, a yogi, an herbalist, or a magician, or you simply want the most beautiful detailed planner and the whole cosmos in your pocket, I highly recommend that you check out Magic of Eye. And here's the best part. As a valued listener of the Astrology Hub podcast, you get an exclusive offer. You can use the code AHMagic in all caps to receive a 10% discount on the Magic of Eye astrological planner. But wait, there's even more magic for our inner circle members. If you're part of our inner circle, you are in for an even bigger treat. You get to enjoy an incredible 20% discount off as part of your membership benefits. So enrollment for the inner circle is opening soon. So if you're planning on joining us in the inner circle, you may want to wait to place your Magic of Eye order. But either way, you do get a special deal on these planners with Magic of Eye. They make the perfect gift for any astrology lover in your life. So head on over to the show notes for the link and your discount code today. And again, thank you, Magic of Eye, for helping us continue to provide the great free content that we get to offer here at Astrology Hub on the podcast every week. Okay, so Wendy, back to our episode. We've talked about how this big conjunction is potentially going to affect the political landscape, the bodies and innovation with technology. It's going to stir things up. I love the drilling into earth and just kind of breaking it up and stirring it up. What how are you personally going to be working with these energies, and what can we be doing personally to prepare for this?
I think personally, it's a good time to sort of, Taurus makes one consolidate one's resources. So I think it's important, and that consolidate's usually a really Saturnian word, but it's important to see where Venus is in your chart. Venus rules the sign of Taurus. So with Jupiter and Uranus stirring up that sign, always think about where your own Venus is in your chart, because that'll give you a little bit of an insight into what's happening and where in your life. Also with the sign of Taurus is Jupiter and Uranus stirring up that house where Taurus is in your chart. But on a more general level, those born around the 15th of May and August and November, um, uh, and February. Sorry, no, sorry. Um, Yes, November, February, May, and August, they're all the fixed signs. So if you're born around the 15th of that month, that Jupiter-Uranus is gonna square that. So it's gonna force you to take some action in terms of either doing something to do with your body, sort out the finances. Jupiter and Uranus are usually quite risky planets, but Taurus makes you look after your resources. It makes you safeguard them. So it is a good time to do that. It's 'cause the things are going to appear, a little bit more exaggerated than they are. Not the best time for inflation, I have to say. So, it's not the best time to take risks with, finances. Um, but also in saying that, it's also important to be free of things too. So as much as things don't take risk, there's a lot of, you'd expect you may get lots of credit card applications through the post and things like that. So there's gonna be a lot of that. So it's important to be free of sort of liabilities and debt. So again, using your resources. Because Jupiter and Uranus can, they're like bolting horses sometimes, but they do have to stop. And in Taurus, they'll be reined in a lot more. So it's important to, just ensure you play safe, I think is really what I'm
Okay,
saying.
so if we're looking to make investments, or if we're looking to safeguard our money, put it in things that are more stable and long term. Like, don't be taking any huge risks or gambles. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, things are gonna change. I mean, there's gonna be new forms of investment, I think. And when I say rolling back, I mean, I'm just thinking now, I think we're gonna see the return of banks offering higher interest rates for savings accounts and things like that, as
Wow.
opposed to investing in new startups and cryptos and things like that.
Wow.
There's gonna be there's gonna be a little bit of old school come back in order to go forward. I mean, it is a couple of steps back to go 10 steps forward. That's how this really operates with these sort of energies happening the way they do. With Pluto and Aquarius going in and out until November next year, cryptos, it can be vulnerable. And it's the peaks and troughs are going to be more exaggerated than before, but they will be peaks and troughs. They'll be both. So it's important to remember that, and you don't really know where you're at that point until after. So it's important to just and I'm not trying to make people play safe or avoid what may happen. But this time next year there will be different ways of investing one's money.
Fascinating.
And yeah, and new and interesting ways.
Yeah.
I have a theory, Amanda, that Pluto and Aquarius, I think we're gonna end up actually nominating who we pay our tax to and for what. It's a Pluto and Aquarius it's a Pluto and Aquarius thing to do that.
I
If
love
you
this
actually
idea. I hope.
yeah, I mean, yeah, well,
Yay.
I mean, I may be completely wrong, and I may be, but there's a theme about that that may not happen, but I'm sure it's gonna be on the table for discussion, and that is Pluto and Aquarius and ruled by Uranus and Taurus with Jupiter coming there. It's about theory, and implementing policy. Jupiter is policy as well. So we're going to see, it's going to be interesting, people actually being able to decide where their money goes. Now, on one level, that's great, but, there's probably going to be a lot of cat and dog societies that are going to be,
Well,
no, I'm joking. I love cats and dogs. I
it
have.
relies on us being educated, and also like the education itself. It could end up being whoever is better at marketing stuff is what,
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's really interesting. But it seems like it would be an improvement to what we're doing now, where we
Yeah.
just pay and we have no say, and half the things it's like, God, I don't like that my money's supporting that. Like that doesn't feel
Yeah.
good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Interesting.
exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I think
Wendy,
I hopefully.
yeah, what else? What else? So it just talk about one more transit. If there was one more transit you had to pick out for 2024, which one would you highlight?
The transit I would highlight would be Pluto and Aquarius. It goes in and out. It goes back in, from I think it's January. I can't remember, but finally goes into Aquarius in November. And that is going to be, there is no turning back. Resistance is futile, all that sort of thing. Everything. It is the ball completely. It is in terms of Star Trek for those who are Star Trekkers. But so it is a collective mentality. It is also, interesting with the Jupiter Uranus and which Uranus rules the Pluto going into Aquarius as well as a modern ruler. It's about our it's about our collective conscience. It's about or consciousness. And it's about our personal conscience. Because you've also got Neptune and Pisces. When you've got all these planets here, it's about our conscience as humans, as individuals, and as a collective, and that so everything we do will have a sort of collective impact, and vice versa. So it's going to be an interesting time. We're going to be very conscious of much larger things, larger than ourselves, I guess. So there's going to be a lot of, and I think that'll be what's fascinating. What will make us think larger than ourselves is things like going into space, finding life, things like that will take us beyond our humanness, I guess, finding our
Mm.
place in the universe. But in saying that, it's going to be finding our place everywhere. And I think that place is gonna shift over the next year, quite a lot, 13
Wendy, you
months or so.
talk about this collective mind or the collective
Mm,
consciousness, and we're recording this on a day where we had the nationwide presidential alert. Like they're testing the like quote unquote emergency broadcast system, and
right.
they alerted every single phone across the United States
Oh, okay.
about the red alerts, and it still came through. So, but what I was thinking is, how talk about unprecedented,
Yeah.
that a message can be sent to an entire nation with the click of a button, and every single person is receiving
Mm,
the same message at the same time. And, I live on Maui, and this happened, I think it was
yes, right, yeah.
2018 or 2017. There was a text message that we all received. It literally said, "This is not a test. There is a missile headed for Hawaii right now.
Oh
Take
my.
shelter." And it was like, "What?" I mean, literally, we all received this message at the very same time. My boyfriend called me. He's like, "Did you get it?" I said, "Yes." I had to hunt down my children. I mean, I called my family, was saying, "It looks like this is the end. I think we're not gonna
Oh
make it."
gosh.
So this happened. And so for me, this like nationwide presidential alert thing was a little bit scary because and turns out there was no missile. It turns out supposedly the story we got was it was a mistake. They're like, "What?" Like,
That is not a funny mistake.
no, and it
Oh
was
my gosh.
terrifying. And I literally thought it was the end. And I'm calling my family being like, "Look,
I
I have
bet.
a few more minutes to live and I love you and thank you for giving me the best life
Oh my
ever." And
gosh.
so it's it's
That
like,
is
and I
so
talk about what
wrong.
is the shadow of this
Yeah.
in
Mm,
Aquarius energy. Like I get the innovation and the technology and the amazing things, and I get like us thinking about not just ourselves and the collective and all that. It's beautiful. And where is that shadow territory? Like what
I think,
you aware
yeah,
of?
I think well, there's many shadows to this. For me, the shadow of Aquarius is Leo. So for me, it's things like, I don't mind that royal families leave or, whatever. It's not really, it's not really everyone's cup. But, royal families, it's a Leo thing. So they're going to come under the radar, no matter where you're from. British, Spain, Mexico, it doesn't matter. But they're going to come under the radar because they're not very democratically elected. So that's the shadow of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Things for me personally, it's children. Leo's ruled by children in modern astrology, and so whenever I talk about Pluto and Aquarius, I'm like, I quote Bonhoeffer and says, the measure of a society is what it leaves its children. So I'm always quoting that, saying, we need to think about this, and ultimately, I think as a shadow of Pluto and Aquarius, is the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And that is what we're going to have with Pluto and Aquarius. A lot of people say Aquarius can be very, dogmatic, and it can be very righteous and things like that. And so, things may not change so much in terms of, sort of, the people, at the helm of society, whomever they are. But it's the needs of the few that may not be counted as much. And when I say it just at the top of my head, I think of, just talking to someone who makes a lot of change in disabilities in schools and changes, things like that. I wonder how we will see things like that, particularly as we move into a sort of a society that's based on perfection. And with Jupiter, Uranus, and Taurus, there's going to be a lot of more perfection. It's things like, Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, and already, like Air New Zealand, my own from my own country, now weigh people. So anyone that's, over a certain weight has to pay extra for seats or tickets and things like that. So you can already see this. So when you have Aquarius that is so about equality, the shadow of that is inequality. So whatever,
Shadow of it is inequality.
yeah, I mean, even though it fights for equality, it fights for democracy, the shadow of it is inequality and is, undemocratic and things like that. So that is the shadow of it. So I think it's going to be, and but you'll get the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all the fabulous things that come with it. But it's important to also say Pluto changing signs. Every generation has had apocalyptic moments. I mean, you have every reason to think that with getting a text like that, absolutely. And they did a same test here in the UK a few months back just to test, and
Wow.
everyone got it too. Yeah, that was a few months back as well, and SOS sort of testing. Yeah, because it's all cyber now. Everything is cyber, so I guess it's just how to alert people. If the grid goes down or things like that, or there's no electricity, or storms. I mean, weather's changing, things like that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
you know,
I hope it's for those kinds of uses that,
yeah,
it was amazing
yeah,
to how quickly they could incite panic. I mean, really, and
yes,
it
yes,
wasn't even real. So it's an
yes,
interesting thing. So one of the things I was thinking as you were speaking, if Leo is like the heart, right? Would
yeah,
another of the Aquarian Pluto and Aquarius be the lack of heart? And when you're
yes,
talking about perfection, like who's perfection? Like what is perfect?
yes,
Because often
yes,
we talk about being human, it's like sort of about being imperfectly perfect. And
yes,
the
with all our
heart,
flaws, all it, yeah.
yeah,
Our
yeah.
flaws
And
are one, yeah. Well, this is
totally,
what
yeah.
makes us. Well, this is the thing about Aquarian too. Is Aquarian is about embracing everybody's flaws, warts and all, and things like that. But the other thing, the shadow of that is everyone becomes the same.
Yeah.
And, and it's a little bit like the school uniform argument. The school uniform argument, which I completely see both sides.
Yes.
You want a school uniform for the kids, so no one stands out. So those who come from a socio-economic background are not, they're not spotlighted. And
Yes.
you don't have fashion wars for all these kids, and the parents don't have to go out and buy all this stuff. So a
Yes.
school uniform on one level is a very good idea, and
Yeah.
it's a very Aquarian one. But another Aquarian idea is not having a school uniform, because everyone's an individual and everyone should be free to dress who they are and express who they want to be. So you can sort of see there's value in both arguments. There really is. And there's no right or wrong. It's just, how do you navigate through that sort of Aquarian, narrative and discussions and all that? Because there is going to be arguments like that where you think, oh, actually, I can sort of see that. But actually, and I mean, I say school uniforms just off the top of my head, but it's a realistic one. It's a one that schools have to discuss all the time. And
Oh
they're
my God.
both they're
Totally. My
both
daughter
right.
and I debated all the time. I wore uniforms and they're like, well, but then you couldn't be an individual. I was like, I can really
Yeah.
socks and my shoes and my hair accessories.
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to wear a school uniform and I hated it. And to this day, I still can't wear those colors. And a lot of people were
Me
like
too.
that.
Oh my God. Same. I can't wear khaki shorts to this day.
Yeah.
Khaki shorts. No.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay. So Wendy, with all this, so we're
Yeah.
obviously 2024, strap that seatbelt on. Like things are going to be like, there's going to be a
Ramp
lot.
up.
What would you say to our beautiful Astrology Hub listeners and audience who are taking this all in and they're going, "Woo, okay. Well,
I
how to personally like navigate this? What any tips that you would give?"
breathe. I would say breathe. And I know that I'm not being silly about it. It's the thing is with the Pluto and Aquarius, it's ruled by Saturn and Pisces as well at the moment, and that can feel really overwhelming. It can feel really isolating. It can feel dark. It's that heaviness one feels before they can go to sleep, or when they wake up in the morning. It can be really heavy, and it can be a real anxiety feeder. So, and that is the nature of right now with Pluto and Aquarius and Saturn and Pisces. And so I think the best thing to do is learn to manage that anxiety, or, rather than resisting it, working through it, breathe through it. This is going to be a really, it may be a difficult year, but it's going to be a life-changing and historical and a very progressive one. And we will look back when we're very old, hopefully, and say, this was a really interesting point in time, and we were a big part of that. So, yeah, it's managing through it, Get sleep. Saturns and Pisces, people need to sleep. It's just about being a bit, without sounding weird, it's like just look after your body and breathe. Yeah.
God. Wendy, I love how you deliver these kinds of messages with a smile on your face and the adventure. It awakens that in me. I'm like, okay, all right, we got this. Like we're talking about some big stuff, but at the same time, we're here for it. We can I believe, and I know a lot of people in our community also believe we came here at this very particular moment in time to have these kinds of
Mm,
experiences. We're resourced for it. We
yeah.
we have astrology. We have this community.
Yes.
We have astrologer guides like you to give us the heads up. So we can do it. And thank you for these very practical tips. Breathe. If you don't know how to breathe in a way that helps
Yeah, learn.
you manage your anxiety, learn. Get with a group of people and learn how to do it. There's so many resources for that. You said sleep, like prioritize sleep, but prioritize your body and taking care of yourself. And those are simple, but I think
Yeah.
we always need to be reminded. And I think just especially in 2024, it's going to be up. So plan for it, make space for it, prioritize it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you are such a gift. I'm so excited that you are in the inner circle next month. I know you're teaching on synastry. Do you want to give us a sneak peek real quick for our friends in the
Yeah.
inner
So
and those who are going to be joining us soon? Because if they join in our next promo period, which is happening in a couple of weeks, they'll get you as a teacher. So can you tell us about that mastery class you're going to be teaching?
So we're going to be looking at synastry, and we're going to be looking at different types of compatibility. When I say synastry, it's relationship astrology, all different relationships. It's not just love relationships, it's business partnerships, it's your siblings, your children, your parents, your grandparents, it's your neighbors, so it's all sort of relationships. I mean, everyone lives their life in relationships. So we're going to be looking at different types of compatibility. And there's lots of different. Some people say opposites attract. We'll explore why we think opposites attract. And we talk about, why some relationships are more easier than others, and look at all the different types of sort of synastry techniques you can do to look at that. And, and also why we don't like other people. That's also an interesting one too. And we can always find that in our own chart rather than necessarily theirs. So, yeah, it's about an exploration into relationships in totality. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I certainly like you. So thank you. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wendy won't be on the panel next week because she's hosting a conference. And so she's going to be very, very busy, but we're so happy that we got to have you here for this special podcast episode. For those of you who are interested in diving more into 2024, hearing more perspectives from some amazing astrologers, make sure you register now. Go to astrologyhub.com/2024 forecast. It's free. It's going to be awesome, highly entertaining. And again, even if you can't join us at the time, make sure you register so we know to send you the limited time replay. This will also be the kickoff. I've mentioned it a couple times, the kickoff promo period for our Inner Circle membership. If you've been on the fence, this will be a great time to jump in, try it out, see if it's right for you. Learn from amazing teachers like Wendy Stacey and join our global amazing community of astrology lovers. So that will be opening as well. Wendy, have an amazing conference next week.
Thank you.
You're in charge of this whole thing. Have an incredible time. Where is it specifically for anybody? It's still open for people?
Yes, it is for anyone who wants to book online. Yeah. And they can use the code AACON50 and get £50 off online conference. It's based near Manchester in the UK. So it's
Amazing.
hybrid. So it's residential and online. So yeah, come join us, 50 astrologers. It'd be great to have anyone. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. Well, Wendy, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. All of you out there, you are amazing too. Thank you so much for being a part of our community, for making astrology a part of your life, for asking the questions, for seeking, for being open to other perspectives and ways of viewing the world and navigating these incredible times that we are alive for. So I'm so grateful for all of you out there. And I can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. Take care, everybody. We'll see you soon. As you know, I talk to a lot of astrologers, and they all seem to be saying something similar, that we are in the midst of big collective changes with Pluto moving in and out of Aquarius. Deep and radical transformation, new technologies emerging that bring with them both opportunities and challenges, and the continued breakdown of our old systems and structures. There's clearly a lot going on, which is why I am so excited to invite you to our 8th annual 2024 Forecast Panel event on October 12th. We'll have expert astrologers Christopher Renstrom, Rachel Lane, Mark Borax, Sheridan Semple, and Clarissa Dolphin. They're going to be talking about the biggest astrological events of 2024, including, but not limited to, Jupiter conjunct Uranus, Jupiter moving into Gemini, and of course, the big total solar eclipse in Aries. If you're a student of astrology and you've gone to one of these events in the past, you know these forecast panel events help you, number one, get ready for big changes. Number two, seize the opportunities within the changing landscape. Number three, learn and grow with our vibrant community. And number four, a Capricorn's favorite, prepare. To get ready for 2024, click the link below or go to astrologyhub.com/2024 and join us. It's free, and we'd love to see you there on October 12th. Even if you can't join us live, make sure that you register so we know to send you the limited time replay. Can't wait to see you there.